How do I support my husband after he did something dumb? My husband, 50 male, and I, 40 female, have been together for 5 years. We work for the same company and carpool to and from work. Our young child is in daycare at our office, so it's the three of us arriving and leaving together most days. My husband left his laptop on top of my car yesterday when we left work. Despite me suggesting so many times that he get a case and not set his computer on top of the car, he does this every single day. Probably once a week, he can't find his computer and panics that he left it on top of the car. It's usually in the back seat. But this time, the dreaded thing actually happened. When we got home last night, he couldn't find the computer and was panicking. I assured him it was probably still sitting on his desk at work, but when it wasn't there this morning, he had security check the cameras, and sure enough, we'd pulled out of the parking deck with the laptop on the roof of the car. To make things a million times worse, he's been working on a huge complex spreadsheet for months, and despite the fact that our company migrated all files to SharePoint over a year ago, he told me today that he had his spreadsheet saved on the desktop. Since the cloud migration, you actually have to work to save something locally on your computer. I love my husband, and I know he is devastated about losing all of his hard work. I want to hug him and tell him I love him, and it will be okay. But I also want to slap him because WTF. You did not one, but two insanely dumb things. What would you do if you were me?
I'm going to be nice to him. I really am. That would be so terrible. I don't feel like she needs to pile on top of it right now. It is one of those like legit human mistakes, right? You get in the habit of doing something, you know it's not the smartest thing. Like, of course, your laptop should go in a case and inside the car, right? Like, it's one of those things that you go, oh gosh, yeah, that's dumb when I do that, whatever. I mean, I'll never do it again. I don't think she needs to necessarily do anything in this case, except be kind and hug him and say she's sorry. In all honesty, what does him making a mistake like this do to her, right? Like, it's not like her boss was like, I can't believe you would marry someone like that. Or, there wasn't an outcome from this that it was her spreadsheet that he had destroyed or something like that. This is kind of, he's a grown up. He made his own choices. That really stinks, but they don't affect you, so don't let them, sort of thing. And as long as he wasn't angry at her for driving away or whatever happened there, I say, be kind, give him a hug, and help him move on from this terrible mistake.
Yeah, I think a lot of people agree with you overall in the comments, but first I'll just share a high vibe takeaway here. In the grand scheme of things, from a higher perspective, this will probably turn out to be a minor incident. When we marry someone, we accept their flaws and their occasional bonehead decisions. So in a way, this is an opportunity for OP to be a safe harbor for her husband. There's no doubt he's beating himself up over this. I mean, I know I would.
Yeah.
If she can just choose grace over I told you so, that'll go a long way to foster deeper trust in their relationship. And I also believe in the 24-hour rule. Give him a full day to kind of grieve this mistake without any solution offering or critiques. Just he's likely feeling incompetent and embarrassed, as like I said, I would. But if you just let him sit in that space for at least a day, and like you said, be kind, maybe offer him snacks or sympathy. I'm not saying you should go in on him hard the next day, but you can talk about what did we learn from this, something like that. After.
Yeah. I also think giving people that window, a lot of times they'll come to you and be like, I should have just listened to you. He's going to come to, he knows she's right. Right? That's an obvious, the better choice is to put it in a case and put it in the car, right? This isn't some, am I right or is he right? Obviously, we know the better choice. All of us know it. So the lighter we can make things, life is really hard. This is not one of those things. This is not a world ender. You'll figure it out, and supporting each other through it is way more positive than being right.
Yeah, exactly. Here, let me read you a comment. How he's feeling right now is the punishment. I wouldn't add on to it. If someone did that to me, I would view them differently. So this brings up an interesting point, which I'll circle back to. Let me read you one more before that. I thought OP was going to say that her husband blamed her for this somehow. But he didn't, so he does know that he messed up. After 2 previous stupid incidents of leaving stuff on top of my car that caused me some inconvenience and annoyance, I did it one more time. This is how I ended up in the middle of nowhere, Nebraska, 1,000 miles from home, with no phone for several days. No one said I told you so, and I've never done something like that again. I do not place anything on top of my car anymore. Lesson learned, right?
Yep.
Last one I'll read is, I had a boss that made fun of me for backing up our accounting every night and taking the tapes home with me. Then a nearby company burned down and lost everything. Suddenly he realized that the simple act of tossing backup tapes into my purse every night was brilliant. Guess it never occurred to him that if the building burns down with the backups on site, having backups is pointless. Sometimes people don't understand the risks until they pay the price, or somebody else does.
I think they're all pretty positive takes. I think the not blaming is the biggest part, which is really a good depiction of their relationship too, that his response to that wasn't like, I can't believe you wouldn't have noticed I put it on, right? Like they are clearly have a very good relationship. I mean, so there's no point in trying to damage it now by doing some I told you so sort of thing.
Personally, I would have a hard time if I was dating someone who was always making kind of bad decisions, throwing sticks into the spokes of the wheels. I don't think they're married, right? Or are they? Oh, no, I guess they are.
They're married, yeah.
Yeah, that's you've already bought the cow, they say. So I'm not sure. Ultimately, I believe that water finds its own level. So in relationships, we end up with partners who are in a similar place karmically, spiritually. Many times we balance each other's shortcomings out. For example, I'm not the best with tech or numbers, but my wife Irish is pretty good in those areas, so we balance each other out. It's important to note that what OP's husband did here wasn't malicious. It would be a completely different story if he sabotaged a coworker. And on that note, I have a little story about that. I once dated a girl who had a lot going on for her. She was smart, savvy, funny, attractive, everything you want in a potential partner. But then one day she tells me this story about how a friend who helped her get hired at her company confessed to her that she messed up a data transfer and was like trying to patch things together as fast as she could before her boss found out. What did this girl do with that information? She went straight to the boss and essentially got her friend fired. So I asked her, like, is your friend like a terrible person? Did she do something to you? She said, no, I just have a standard of excellence that my friend didn't live up to. So not only did she not show any remorse, but she was like smug about it. And I was just like, immediately after I heard that story, it like hit me so hard. I was like, I can't be with a girl who just thinks that that's somehow a good thing to do to a friend. So obviously I broke up with her, that was the end of that. What do you think of that?
That's awful. And
right?
She's not a very good friend and not somebody that, I assume her coworker told her that because she thought that they were friends.
Yeah, she got her the job there.
Yeah. That's not somebody I would trust with like anything. And I think how good a friend someone is to somebody else is a really good depiction of how they are as a partner. There's something about friendships, especially like long-standing friendships, how those work, but also new friendships of what are you like with people who aren't a partner where you do have like it's a different relationship, friendships versus partnerships, but it shows you a really good window into who somebody is deep down. And I would have run too. That would have been a huge red flag for me to be like, your friend trusted you and you betrayed them. I will never tell you anything. And what are you going to be with someone that you can never tell things to? That would be insane.
I guess they say how you treat a stranger or how you treat a pet or an animal says a lot about you, right?
She probably found her crew of people that reflected the same sort of like, I'm going to do whatever I need to move through this world. That's not how I choose to live in my space. So I could imagine that you also were like, oh, I'm not interested. You need to go find somebody else who reflects that sort of feeling about life.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I said before, relationships find their own level. And like I could not be with someone who doesn't have compassion for other beings altogether. And same with you.
Yep. I feel the same way. Yep.
We're gonna go.